Why do we yawn when someone else yawns? Seriously, you're sitting there completely fine, then somebody beside you goes, "Ah," and suddenly your mouth starts opening too. Wait, why? You weren't sleepy 5 seconds ago. You didn't decide to yawn. Your brain just saw someone else doing it and apparently said, "Yeah, we're doing that now." And here's the dangerous part. There is a very good chance that just talking about yawning has already made some of you want to yawn. Yeah, and talking about some of you, I think I'm one of you. This is dangerous. Don't fight it. Actually, no. Fight it. Let's see who's stronger, you or your own brain. Because this weird little chain reaction might tell us something surprisingly interesting about how humans respond to each other. And no, it's probably not because your body suddenly needs more oxygen. So what is going on? You've yawned thousands and thousands of times, probably today, maybe 5 minutes ago. And usually, you don't think about it. Your mouth opens. You take in a long breath. Your face stretches into an expression that basically says, "I have officially stopped participating in society." But then something strange happens. You see someone else yawn and suddenly your own body starts preparing for one. This is called contagious yawning. And it doesn't always require someone yawning directly in front of you. Seeing a yawn can do it. Hearing one can sometimes do it. Even reading or thinking about yawning can make you feel the urge. Which means this video may have been a terrible decision. Sorry, not sorry. Now, before we solve the contagious part, we have an even more basic problem. Why do we yawn in the first place? Because for a long time, there was a popular explanation. Your brain needs more oxygen, so you yawn. Take a big breath, boom, problem solved. Nice explanation, also not supported very well. Research has not shown that yawning is simply the body's emergency oxygen delivery system. So if somebody yawns beside you, your body isn't necessarily going, "Oxygen, we are running out, everyone panic. Open the mouth." That's not what's happening. Scientists has explored other explanations. Yawning is connected with changes in things like alertness, arousal, and transition between states. For example, people often yawn when they are tired, but also sometimes when they are waking up, which is interesting because those are opposite directions. Going towards sleep, coming out of sleep. Yet, yawning shows up in both. So yawning itself is already more complicated than it looks, and then we made it worse by making it contagious. So here's where things get really interesting. Imagine you're talking to someone. Without realizing it, you might start copying little things they do. They smile, you smile. They cross their arms. A few minutes later, you've somehow become their low-budget sequel. Humans constantly respond to other humans. We imitate expressions. We synchronize movements. We unconsciously adjust our behavior during social interactions. And contagious yawning may be part of this bigger picture. Seeing somebody yawn can trigger an automatic response in your own brain. You see the action and somehow the urge appears. I want to yawn, I want to yawn. But here's where we need to be careful. Scientists has investigated things like empathy and specific brain mechanisms to explain contagious yawning. However, the exact explanation is still not completely settled. And that's actually kind of fascinating because this is something humans do all the time. And yet science is still asking, okay, but why are you copying his yawn? One idea that gets mentioned a lot is empathy. The theory goes something like this. Maybe people who are more socially connected to someone are more likely to catch their yawn. And there is some research suggesting that social factors can influence contagious yawning. For example, familiarity and relationships may matter in certain situations. But this does not mean we can look at someone who didn't yawn and say, wow, absolutely zero empathy. That's not science. That's just being dramatic. The relationship between contagious yawning and empathy is more complicated than the internet sometimes make it sound. Some studies have found connections. Others suggest that attention, social context, age, and other factors also play important role. So the honest answer is contagious yawning may be related to social processes, but scientists are still working out exactly how all the pieces fit together. And honestly, that's a much better story than pretending we already know everything. Because humans aren't the only creatures that yawn. Lots of animals yawn. Dogs yawn. Cats yawn. Monkeys yawn. Even some other animals that you probably never expected to be involved in this conversation. But contagious yawning, that's where things become especially interesting. Scientists have studied contagious yawning in several animal species, which raises a very strange possibility. Maybe the ability to respond automatically to another creature's behavior isn't uniquely human. Now imagine this. You yawn. yawn. Your dog looks at you. Then your dog yawns. And suddenly you are both sitting there like, rough day, huh? No, just me? Fine. Now let's talk about the part that feels almost unfair. Why can you start wanting to yawn just because someone mentioned yawning? You're not even seeing one. There is no actual yawner in the room. You're just sitting there reading or listening to a person repeatedly saying the word yawn, yawn. And suddenly your jaw is like, oh, are we doing one? One reason may be that simply thinking about an action can activate mental processes connected with that action. Your brain isn't always sitting there like a security guard saying, absolutely not. You may not even think about yawning. Sometimes the idea itself is enough to create the urge. And the more attention you give it, the harder it can be to ignore it. Which means you may have made it this far without yawning, but the odds are not looking great for you. Okay, quick experiment. Don't yawn. That's it. For the next few seconds, just don't do it. Think about anything else. Taxes, traffic, that embarrassing thing you said 7 years ago, your email box, laundry, the fact that there are probably people watching this video right now with their mouths wide open. Still holding strong? Impressive. Your brain has passed the test. Or maybe you already yawned 3 times and you're pretending it didn't happen. I see you. Well, I don't. That would be terrifying. So let's put everything together. First, yawning itself is normal biological behavior that appears to be connected to changes in arousal and states, among other possible functions. Second, the old idea that yawning simply happens because your body needs more oxygen is not considered a complete explanation. Third, when you see or otherwise perceive another person yawning, your brain can trigger an involuntary urge to do the same. That's contagious yawning. And finally, the exact reason contagious yawning exists is still being investigated. It may involve social connection, attention, automatic imitation, brain mechanisms that help us respond to other people, possibly several things working together. In other words, your brain saw somebody open their mouths and somehow turned it into a group activity. Humans are weird. And maybe that's the coolest part. A yawn looks incredibly simple. You open your mouth, you breathe, you close it, done. But underneath that boring little face stretch, there is a whole unanswered question about the brain, about social behavior, about why simply watching another person do something can make your body want to do it too. Think about that. You don't even need to agree. You don't need to plan it. Nobody sends you a calendar invitation. One person yawns, another person sees it, and the behavior spreads. Almost like a tiny biological ripple moving through a room or a virus. And you've probably watched this happen your entire life without ever stopping to ask why. Until now. I'm not even proud that I get to find out all of these things while researching for this video. So the next time somebody yawns beside you, and suddenly you feel that unstoppable urge to open your mouth, don't assume your body is desperately begging for oxygen. It might be something much stranger. Your brain may be responding to another human being automatically without you even deciding to do anything. Now please, tell me you didn't yawn during this video, because if you did, I win. If this video made you notice something your body has been doing your entire life, stick around. We've got a lot more everyday mysteries to interrogate. This is Zeno IQ. See you in the next research.